Welcome to the Science of Parenting podcast, where we connect you with research-based information that fits your family. I'm Lori Cordles, parent of 3 in 2 different life stages. 2 are launched and 1 is still in high school, and I'm a parenting educator.
And I'm Mackenzie Johnson, parent of 2 littles with their own quirks, and I'm a parenting educator. Today, we'll talk about the realities of raising a family and how research can help guide our parenting decisions.
Hey, did you catch that fancy new intro? Yes.
I had to fight the urge to be like, welcome to science. No.
Yeah.
We have a fancy intro, so we
I
don't have to,
know.
we don't say that anymore.
I
You get
know.
to,
I get.
it's still
You
us, though.
just jump in. It isn't. It is still, in fact, just us. Lori, Mackenzie, and
Yes.
Barb and Mackenzie backstage, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're there.
They're there. Yeah.
It does kind of feel like we need to do like reintroductions though at the beginning of the season. Like, hello,
Hello.
I still have young children. I'm still a parenting educator.
Yes.
That all stayed the same. Nothing changed drastically.
Nothing changed.
How about for you?
Yes. Okay, so
Oh.
here we are, season 8.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy stuff, right?
8.
And I'm super excited about this season, the great guidance and discipline debate, right? Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So here we are, season 8. We're going to take a look at guiding children from multiple perspectives this season. We're going to try to bring in all different kinds of a little theory, maybe some history. Yeah, just, all kinds of nerdy stuff. We dig it that way.
Yes, I did. Full nerd. No
Full nerd.
apologies. Full
Mhm.
nerd.
Absolutely.
But yeah, getting dorky. It's been exciting, digging through the research to get ready for this season. But also thinking about, like what influences the decisions we make around guidance and discipline, like whether we realize them or not.
Mhm.
And so in looking at that, looking at how we make the decision process, even if doesn't feel like a process, even if it's like a natural thing, there
Mhm.
is. So we'll talk
Yes.
about that. And very excited. Like I said, full dorky. Every episode, there's going to be some kind of like parenting theory, and I'm very excited about it.
Well, okay, and that's because that this entire season is coming from a book that's actually titled The Handbook of Parenting. Yes, there is such a thing, right?
It's
And
real.
we have volume 5. So
Yes.
this is edited by Mark Bornstein, but that's what we're going to use. And, so yeah, we did get a little, geeked out and nerdy, but it's a handbook. Okay. Like who doesn't love a handbook? Give me a
Mhm.
handbook, right?
Yes, we had to really think intentionally about like we need to phrase this so that it's not so nerdy, right? That it
Yes.
like is real for real people. And so we dug into the chapter from that volume 5, The Practice of Parenting. We dug into the chapter by Dr. Jennifer Lansford, and it's focused on discipline, as you maybe could have guessed.
Yes. And so our goal here at the Science of Parenting is to just help you fill your parenting toolbox, right? And
Yes.
so this season, we're going to stick this big, thick book of parenting in there. And then we're going to just help you sift out the easy parts that you can quickly grab and have at your fingertips.
We like to use the word like translate. So like
Yes.
we want to translate the research so that it's like, okay, cool, you said that. Barely know what it meant. What do I actually do with that? So that's what we hope we can do.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's start with this definition, right? Well, let's start
Yeah.
off. We'd like to start off with definitions just so we're all on the same page, right? So shoot us a definition here.
Yes. So defining discipline and guidance. Lansford tells us that one of the most important ways that parents shape their children's behavior is through the use of proactive discipline to encourage desired behavior in the future and reactive discipline to respond to misbehavior after it occurs. And so I love that. Like, what is guidance and discipline? It's about shaping our kids' behavior,
I love that.
right? So what did you catch in there that you like?
Gosh, so I love it that what you said was like guidance and discipline is like 2 things, right? So it's this use of proactive discipline to encourage desired behaviors in the future. And then it's also the opportunity to respond to misbehavior as it occurs, right? So it's 2 things, and it's guidance and discipline. It's one tool and another, or it's tool number 65 and tool number 38, right? So we have options all throughout our children's lives, guidance and discipline is still about options. There is not just one tool that you're always and forever going to use for each and every situation.
Oh,
Options.
for sure. And that for me, it's like the desired and undesired behaviors. Like,
Mhm.
yes, we're shaping their behavior by trying to like reinforce the things we do like.
Mhm.
And we're shaping their behavior by trying to correct the ones we don't like. And that those are all a part of guidance and discipline. And that they
They
make
are.
up the relationship we have with our kids. That discipline is
Yes.
like a huge part of that relationship because it we do shape their behavior as their parents.
I love that word picture, shaping,
Yeah.
molding, creating together. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Well, and so this idea of like undesired and desired behaviors, this is it's like subjective, right? It's according to each of us what we would
Mhm.
define as desired or undesired. And so,
Absolutely.
what would you say are some desired versus undesired behaviors for you
Okay,
in your
so I'm
kids?
I'm gonna say right now with my children at the age that they are, right? So
Mhm.
I have one in high school and two that are done with, they're launched, they're out of
Yeah.
college, they're working
Adults.
real girl jobs, big girl
Yes.
jobs, right? But I think standard to me has always been desired behavior, communication,
Mm.
undesired behavior, lack of communication,
Yeah.
right? Desired behavior, being respectful towards yourself and others, undesirable behavior, disrespecting yourself, disrespecting others. And even as young children, those are my personal family values. And so where
Yes.
other parents, would have valued something differently, those were my key that I hung on to. Um,
Yes.
how about you? Littles.
Littles. Okay, well, I will say right now, the first undesired behavior that comes is like physical aggression. When my
Mhm.
kids are at the age where like starting to like disagree and fight a little
Uh-huh.
more, they're 2 and 5. And so even like my son will say to my daughter, it's just like it's playful and funny and not funny. My daughter will be like, "Well, I'm hungry or I'm something." And he'll be like, "No, you're not." Which that's what little brothers do, I guess. But that type of, like, behavior and interactions is sometimes leading to things like hitting, pushing, shoving, kicking,
Mhm.
yanking, right?
Yanking.
Yanking
I
yanking
love
that back out of their hand, and so,
uh,
definitely, like, that kind of behavior is not a desired behavior, right? We're trying so thinking about, like, okay, so what is the flip side of that? What is the desired behavior? Is like using your words to communicate, right? Like,
Mhm.
I would like a turn with that toy, or I don't like when you do that, or right,
Yes.
like, and so trying to encourage them and like give them phrases they can use with each other. That's a more desired behavior.
Yes.
Um, okay, and then another one. I will not show you what the rest of my office looks like. You will only see this frame because messes. Leaving and, like, I'm such a bad example because the mess in this room right now is my mess. But like, leaving messes for other people to clean up,
Sure.
that like, age appropriate, right? So, like,
Right.
I don't expect
Yes.
my 2-year-old to, like, vacuum his room,
Yeah.
right? Like, but so leaving messes for other people is, like, that is an undesired, like, desired
Mhm.
clean up after yourself or make a plan for when you're gonna clean it up
Mhm.
and that kinda stuff, but those are, like, the very concrete things that I'm like, "Please, not that."
Yes.
Um, but then
That
one of the,
reminds
like,
me
more Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so that reminds me of, like, another accountability, like, being able to just say,
Oh.
"Oh, yeah, I messed up."
Mhm.
Yeah, accountability. So that cleaning up messes, not yeah, that
Yes.
reminded me accountability. A
Yes.
desired behavior.
Well, and you talking about, like, the communication and, like, respecting people, which, I mean, I should have guessed, respect, always. But I think another thing that is, like, a desired behavior, like, something I want like, we work towards in guiding our kids' behavior, is the idea of, like, being tactful. So
Sure.
which to me is, like, a little bit different than being polite, like,
Mhm.
not, "I have to accommodate everybody else's feelings," kind of polite, but, like,
Right.
instead of screaming at your brother, like, "I disagree," or,
Yes.
like I've shared before, like, my child that is less adaptable saying, like, "That's wrong," and, like, it's not wrong. It's maybe like different than you expected. And so
Yes.
I think like teaching a desired behavior for me is like for my kids to like learn it's okay to have an opinion
Mhm.
and like but you need to be tactful, like not disrespectful. And so
Yeah.
that's another one that's just like I am shaping my kids' behavior around that.
You are, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so yeah, those are just but it's so different for everybody.
It is.
You know, like the ones that like jump out of my head and mouth. Even
Yes.
people who have the same like similar age kids for me would be
Yes.
like, "That's not what I worry about."
So yeah, there are definitely when it comes to different ages, and gosh, that reminds me of season 2 when we talked about, the parental judgment.
Yes.
Guidance and discipline brings on a whole another level of
Mhm.
parental judgment and self-doubt,
Yes.
right?
Wait,
Yeah.
that was in season 1.
Was that season 1?
All the way
Oh,
but, like, towards the end of season 1, but all the way
okay.
back.
All the way back.
Yeah. But, yeah,
Yeah.
judgment for sure, like, this is the thing I'm choosing to address with my kids, and it
Yes.
might not be the thing you're choosing to address with yours, and, yeah, it can be easy to compare and
Mhm.
judge and but we don't
Yes.
need that. We
We
don't need
don't.
that.
We don't. Okay, so I have something special for you. This is a framework and you're going to love
What?
this, right?
For
I know.
me?
Yes, for you, a framework for you. So, Hoffman and Salzenstein give us an overarching framework when it comes to understanding some different forms of discipline, okay?
Mm,
So there's 3 main categories. So there's power assertion, love withdrawal, and
mhm.
inductive reasoning. So let me
Yes.
go through those again. So
Yes.
power assertion,
Mhm.
it means basically just that when parents exert power and authority over the child.
Yeah. Okay, so some ways we do that would, like I mean, like, corporal punishment or spanking,
Hmm.
yelling,
Hmm.
like, grounding or, like, removing
Absolutely.
privileges,
Yep.
right? That's, like, asserting, like, "I am the adult,
Yes.
and this like, so I get to decide these things."
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yep, power
Yep.
assertion.
Power assertion. Okay. So the second one in this framework, 3 ways, 3 categories of guidance and discipline. The second category is love withdrawal. And this essentially means that we manipulate our children's emotion by, expressing disapproval or
Mhm.
anger. So it's kind of that removing love by expressing anger or disapproval.
Yes. So, I mean, so this could be things like I mean, like, name calling,
Hmm.
belittling. I mean, even sometimes, in drastic situations, like threatening to leave, threatening to like, "Well, maybe I should just not," you know?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, or sometimes even maybe, like, people might consider, like, the silent treatment,
Yes.
right? Like, I'm not gonna talk to you.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah,
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that's the
okay, love
second
withdrawal.
category, right? Love withdrawal, right? So the third category then is a category called inductive reasoning. And that
Mhm,
involves kind of discussing how other people are affected by the child's behavior. So you're helping the child understand what it is about their behavior that's impacting others.
yes. So that is, I mean, reasoning, like, it's
Hmm.
explaining why you make the decisions you do. I even think some people talk about when they talk about time out, they
Yes.
flip it and talk about time in. So,
Yes.
like, that we have this very specific time where we're talking about the behavior and how, like, it affected people. With my littles, it's even things like using distraction or redirection.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a wide variety of ways we can kind of use this reasoning to guide their behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So
So
3 ways.
so 3 ways, yes.
Mhm.
So, okay, as we think about these, like, is there one that's better than the others? It's a framework. So to me, a framework says there might be pieces and parts in all of them that are okay when it comes to guidance and discipline.
Mhm. So I have an answer for
Okay, good.
that. So actually Lansford, the author of this chapter, like specifically addresses basically so inductive reasoning, so the one where we're explaining, it's a little more logical than the other
Mhm.
two. That has been shown to basically have like exclusively positive outcomes for kids. The power assertion can be kind of like some negative, some positive,
Mhm.
and it seems like the love withdrawal is mostly negative.
Okay.
And so I mean, based on that, you could say the inductive reasoning is probably the best strategy
Sure.
that we can tap into. But yeah, that there's like, well, there's some There is some benefit in that power assertion, but there's a caveat of why, right?
Yes, I did
Yes.
know that there was this little twist. Okay, let's talk about the twist.
Yes. So basically that there's two types of power assertion. So, which I mean really comes back to this idea of authoritative parenting. And
Yes.
so you heard us talk about that before. Baumann's theory, basically that an authoritative parent, which kids who have authoritative parents tend to have really positive outcomes from their parenting, that we provide warmth and we provide appropriate expectations. So in coercive is one category and confrontive is the other one. In coercive power assertion, it's about manipulating behavior. So
Okay.
this can feel, it's not always with reason, right? It can feel like out of the blue. It can feel like it's about controlling behavior.
Okay.
Um is what that coercive kind of style is, versus sometimes we use confrontive power assertion, which is about shaping behavior. It's typically involves some kind of like negotiation and
Okay.
logic. And so that there's a difference in within that category of, are we
Power
manipulating our
assertion.
children's behavior
Mhm.
with their feelings, right? Like I want you to feel bad or I
Yes.
want you to feel right so that you'll stop it, versus I want to reason with you about why that's not appropriate. And so
So
sometimes I need to assert that power.
yes, and that I when you said that just this time around, I heard confrontation, right? And some people say, "I don't like confrontation."
Yeah.
But
Guilty.
in this case, like, it's super important to confront and talk about and reason and, that's a prime learning opportunity is to
Yes.
confront this what's happening. And so it's not confrontational.
Yes.
It's let's step up to the plate and confront what's going on.
Yes. And I think that sometimes there's, like this generation of parents kind of thing around like
Oh,
we're too soft on our kids or whatever. And I think that it can be when the pendulum swings from, if we've maybe felt like our parents were like very controlling or something, and then it's like,
mhm.
no, me and my kid are going to be friends,
Yeah.
but it can get permissive.
Mhm,
It can get, if we're not ever asserting power as like, I am the adult, you are the child,
mhm.
and I can't let you do this. Like, I can't let you be unsafe. I can't let
Yes.
you hurt others. I can't let you, whatever that behavior is. And so there is a level of like, we need to confront and address inappropriate, unsafe behavior. So yeah, it does require some level of asserting our power as the adult
Mhm,
over the child, because like, I can't let you play in the street. It's a
mhm.
bummer. You're mad
Yep.
and you can't. And like, as
And
a
you
teen
can't.
driver, I
Exactly.
can't let you make unsafe driving choices. It's a bummer.
Exactly.
Like, but so you're right, that power assertion that like it's about not confrontation, but like we're gonna address
Mhm.
the behavior or the issue.
And you get to model that for the child, right? You get
Yes.
to model how to have healthy conflict, how to have
Mm-hmm.
healthy assertion, how to have
Yes.
healthy standing up and supporting family values. And those
Yes.
opportunities are fabulous for parents and children to do together, as
Yes.
opposed to, like you said, that silent treatment
Yeah.
in the second framework category, which is removal of
Power. Oh, love withdrawal.
love withdrawal. I'm like, sounds like
It's the one that
nah.
was second.
Yeah, love withdrawal. It's is
Mhm.
that silent treatment, that love withdrawal. That's not modeling to the child
Yes.
what is the behavior you want them to do. What is it you want them to do?
Mhm. Well, and so as we, think back on our list of what we talked about in that, like power assertive types of behaviors, like parenting and discipline strategies,
Mhm,
the things that might be coercive would be things like inflicting physical pain. It
mhm.
could be things like yelling, and it could be things like, I even think of like hearing stories about kids getting grounded from like basic needs,
Oh, yes.
And so,
Yes.
yeah, that it's not like you're grounded from this event.
Right.
It's like you aren't allowed to have basic things.
Right.
And so that is really about
Right.
manipulating the
Mhm.
behavior rather than trying to like work with your child to shape it.
Yes.
So the more confrontive, all of a sudden I'm like, Is that the
Yeah.
right word? It
Is
is.
that where does the
Confrontive. I had to look.
where does
Confrontive.
the accent go?
um, you know, but things that are like removing privileges when we need to, or
Mhm,
sometimes time out and time in, and that opportunity to like, yep, sometimes I do need to ground you. You were dishonest with me about this.
mhm.
I don't know if I can trust you to do this safely.
Exactly.
You know, and so sometimes
Exactly.
that's the case. Even with my daughter, there was a period where she liked to like she was watching TV and she is watching TV in the morning. She likes to get ready, watch a little bit of TV, and as long as she's ready, there
Mhm,
were some days we had a little streak where it was like, you're not ready to go.
mhm.
And like, I'm okay with you doing that as long as you're okay with being independent and getting yourself ready. You know, lots of days in a row. Tomorrow, we're not going to be able to,
Right.
but it was
Yeah.
related to what was happening. Like, okay, you were able to have that privilege because you had demonstrated responsibility. And if we don't have the responsibility, I need to help you with it, which means we don't have time for the TV in the morning.
Exactly.
And so yeah, but it looks different on how we can do that. But I thought that distinction between like coercive and
Mhm.
confrontive was an important one as we think about our power as parents. Like,
Exactly.
are we trying to manipulate them to make them feel a certain way? Or are we trying to guide and shape that behavior?
I love that. So we've
Mhm.
got power assertion, removal of love. I still don't have that.
Love
What
withdrawal.
love withdrawal. I'm gonna get it
Withdrawal.
sometime. And then inductive reasoning. Those three categories of how
Yes.
we pull in discipline strategies, which is where we're going next, right? Some
Yes.
strategies. What are some
Yes.
things that we
So there
like to
was
share
one
with
more
you?
quote that I just like gotta
Oh
say because
yeah.
there was a word in here that I thought was so good. So confrontive power assertion is marshaled to promote
Mm.
compliance with a responsive relationship where the child's dissent is heard and respected. And I was like, I want to be marshaled. Like, you're right. I'm not like manipulating it. My emotions, it's like it's marshaled. I want compliance, but I'm promoting it, not like manipulating to get it. And then, yeah, my kids can say, like, hold on, wait, this doesn't feel fair. Or like, wait, the reason I did this was. And it's like, and respect, your favorite word. Your favorite word
Yes.
is in there.
So marshaled essentially is allowing them to have some input.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But so I liked that word in that quote. So yes,
Yes.
power assertion.
A
There
lo-
are ways that seem to be more beneficial and ways that seem to be not as beneficial. But you're right. So we're going to move into the strategy. So thinking about those three kinds of discipline, thinking about that mix of like we're shaping behavior, proactive, reactive, etc. This season, we're switching it a little bit. I mean, not terribly, but like this, we're going to focus in on like a strategy for the week, almost kind of an assignment.
Ooh, kind of
Maybe
like
not that
homework.
word.
Homework?
Homework,
Yeah.
activity, which one will make people not feel yucky about it?
Oh yeah.
An activity
An
for your
activity for
enjoyment.
you. Yes.
But for this week, I think as we think about guidance and discipline, to look for opportunities to flip some of those reactive discipline things we do into more proactive, or thinking about when we respond only to an undesired behavior to how we can help
Yes.
them understand what the desired behavior is.
Okay, so give me a negative and I'll see if I can flip it. I'll see if I
Okay.
can flip it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, one, don't hit.
Okay. So, but what I don't want, undesired behavior, hitting. What I do want is in not hitting, nice touches. Okay. So I
Yes.
would say the reactive way you said it was don't hit.
Mhm.
Oh, and can I just add this in right here? So I've always been, okay, me like brain development, right? So
Yes.
what is the last thing you want your child to hear? You want your child to hear what you want them to do, right?
Mm.
Tell them what you
Yes.
want them to do. Okay, so don't
And
hit
say it last.
and say it last. Yes. So the last thing I'm going to say is what I want you to hear.
Mhm.
I would like you to use nice touches. Nice touches,
Mhm.
please.
Yes.
Mackenzie, please use nice touches.
I will do my best.
Okay. Instead of
Don't hit.
use nice touches, don't hit.
Mhm.
What was the last thing you still heard me say?
Just don't hit. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do
Hit.
instead when I want my
What
way.
Yeah, right, I want my way, yeah. So use nice touches. As much as I wanna say, "So don't hit." No, I'm gonna
Yes.
just stick with use nice touches.
Yes. Well, and I even
Yes.
think like my kids are getting old enough now that I can do the are you wanting to ask for a turn? Right?
Mhm.
Like what is behind that behavior I don't like of like, are you wanting that toy back? Are
Yes.
you And so sometimes it's also like, okay, what's an appropriate, like that
Mhm.
sensation or that urge of wanting the toy back is not a bad thing. It would be
Right.
appropriate, like, use nice touches. Did
Yes.
you wanna ask for a turn? Like, did you wanna use your words to ask for a
Giving
turn?
them words for the
Yeah.
feelings they're feeling. Like,
Yeah. Oh, that
it's
made you mad.
right? Ooh, that made you mad. Should we ask, if we can have that toy back? Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, so here's another one.
Okay.
More probably in your actually, I was still hitting my sister, if I'm honest. I was hitting my sister's team. That is not good. That was not I'm not modeling.
Ah.
Okay, but one that's a little more typical of, like, teens,
'Kay.
watch your mouth.
Ooh,
Watch your mouth.
watch your mouth. Ooh, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Technically, I am telling you what I want you to do, but
I
not really a
am.
desired behavior.
Yes. Okay, so that actually brings in a question to me, and my brain is saying, "Well, what was it that they said
Mm.
exactly that you don't want?" That's the
Yeah, was
undesired
it like
phrase. What was
well, was it
what
like a curse word or was it like something
right.
disrespectful? Like,
Or
"Don't
was it the
talk to me that way."
tone? Yeah, was it the
Yeah.
tone? Was it a word? So
Okay, yeah.
so I might have been known to say things like, "Would you like another shot at,
Oh,
asking me more politely?"
yeah.
If it was the tone that was undesirable,
Yeah, did you wanna
or
try that again?
did you wanna try that? Did you wanna try to use a different word this time?
Yeah.
I think I've definitely, asked those questions in my household, um,
Mhm.
because it's almost like I wanna make sure that they have that, like, I'm making my point. I don't like this phrase you're using,
Mhm.
this word you're using. It's undesirable, and I'm actually going to give you another shot at trying it again before I get
Yes.
upset.
Yes. You know, and if it is like a curse word
Mhm.
scenario or like a
Yeah.
word that your family is like, "No, that's not a word we use."
Mhm.
You know, it could be as simple as, like, instead of watch your mouth, it could be as simple as, like, choose a more appropriate word.
Yes.
Or you know
Mm.
what? Let's be
W
honest. Maybe you say watch your mouth first, and they're like, and the desired behavior.
And what I'd like you to say instead
Like, let's choose a
is
more appropriate word.
yes, and let's try it
Mhm.
together.
Yeah, we can do this. We
We
can
can
do this.
let me model it for you.
Oh, okay. Another one that
Okay,
you I remember the first time you said this to me, I was like, "I know exactly what you're talking about it. You don't need to explain it."
okay.
Stop it syndrome.
Oh, yeah, stop
When
it
as
syndrome.
parents, we get it now I'm gonna explain it. We get in that mode of like, "Stop it. Knock it off."
Knock it
And we're
off.
not even telling them what the specific undesired behavior is,
No,
but
no.
yeah, but whatever that is, stop it.
Yeah, and that was something I learned, like, as an adult, vividly remembering the story. I've told you this story, but it was an adult that I said that to, "Stop it," and that adult said, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" And it was
Yes.
kind of at that point, and my kids were little, thank goodness, at that point that I thought, "Oh, if that adult has no idea what 'stop it' means, then how can I expect my 4-year-old to understand what 'stop it' means?" And I get it, like, "Oh, Laura, you aren't in my house when, my kid is looking at me just about
Yeah.
to put their hand in the potting soil and toss a
It's always the
handful at their
plant.
brother," right? Yeah, it's always the plants. They know what they're doing, and I think, "Okay, but stop it. Do I want you to stop throwing, stop looking at me, stop with your fingers in the dirt? What piece and action is it that I want you to stop? But more importantly, what would I like you to do instead?"
Mhm.
All right. What is it I want
Yes.
you to do? The desired behavior is the key.
And so we had this one, we were in a store recently, and it's like one of those, like, gifty type stores that
Yes.
I'm scared to be in because I don't trust me to not break things.
Yeah.
Like, but in there with one of my kids, and it's like, okay, instead of like, don't touch, it's like, okay, naturally you wanna see this thing, and it's like, let's look with
Right.
our eyes, not
Let's
with
look
our
at it.
hands.
Yes.
Like, these things are for looking with our eyes, and yes, if you wanna, like, get close and, like, look
Mhm.
around it rather than, like, pick it up
Mhm.
but it's like, "Okay, what do I want you to do? I want you to look with your eyes,
I
not
want
with
your
your hands."
hands in your pocket and I want you to look with your eyes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Alright, and
Good
then, I mean, it's
strategies.
worth addressing, like,
Oh, yes.
even sometimes when it's like, what I want you to do is stop what you're doing, sometimes what I'm like, prone to do is yell, or for some of
Mm.
us, that might be
Mhm,
spanking.
mhm,
Like, I want you to stop it, and I want you to stop it right now.
mhm.
So how do we flip that into teaching a desired behavior instead of just trying to stop it?
Well, I think there's this flagship thing that we talk about here.
There's something the science of
It
parenting loves.
it's 3 words, 3 words. Oh, I know what it is. It's stop, breathe, and talk. Do you wanna
Mhm.
remind everyone what that is?
Yes. So stop, breathe, talk, of course, that flagship strategy of helping us get regulated. Because, when we think about things like yelling or spanking or even like name calling, belittling
Mhm.
type of behaviors we can unintentionally get into as a parent, emotions are running high.
Mm.
We're prone, I'm not
Yes.
prone to yelling if I'm calm. I'm prone to yelling if I'm having a hard
Yes.
time or angry.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but stop is that opportunity to recognize that those emotions are like, whew, they are big, they are here, I feel them. Taking a nice long deep breath is that opportunity to get your body and your mind regulated again so you can think clearly because we are not logical when our brains are overwhelmed. And
Oh.
so taking that breath is that pause. Maybe it's walking away, maybe it's taking a breath, maybe it's taking a little more than a minute. But then also the talk, the speaking with
Mhm,
intention, the opportunity to this is what I want, right? This is the
mhm.
desired behavior. And I mean, honestly, using that inductive reasoning is what we're trying to get at, like
Absolutely,
using
yes.
explanations and
Let's
reasoning.
get back into that upstairs brain.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we can look for these opportunities throughout this week to teach what we want instead of just, it's easy to get in those cycles of just like, stop it. And so figuring out what's the behavior I want you to do instead? What can I
Mhm.
teach you? Where are opportunities to maybe practice that? With when the risk is a little bit lower. And so, yeah, let's just like look for those opportunities. Let's be proactive and try to think about when we can teach them what we want instead of what we don't want.
I love that idea of practicing, like
Yeah.
recognizing I can think of a situation right now where I
Yes.
definitely feel a higher stress level where I might,
Mm,
use some of those coercive tactics. So if I knew
yes.
that going in, I might be thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to practice. This is how I'm going to practice. This is what I'm going to say because I know that this is going to happen. I
Yes.
love that
Oh,
idea. Yeah.
okay. And I literally yesterday I had picked up my daughter, we were riding in the car, and I was just like a hot mess. Whew, all kinds of hot mess. And I told her in the car, I was like, I'm having a hard day. I'm feeling
Mhm.
overwhelmed. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling frustrated. I don't want to be a grouch, is usually how we
Mhm.
talk about it. Like, and I wanna, like, just because I'm stressed, I still want to talk to you nicely.
Mhm.
And I'm like, and so you can tell me, I'm like, I really am gonna try to be calm. And it's okay if you need to tell me, like, Mom, I want you to talk nice to me. But we did. I was
Oh, I
like,
love that.
I literally was like, I'm a mess and I don't like, I want to be chill and hang out.
Uh-huh.
And that is
Yeah.
not how I feel. Help me. Okay. Like,
Uh,
but it's like, okay, but you're also like, you're a kid
mhm.
and you're allowed to have that too. Like,
Yes.
and maybe
Aw.
someday you'll be able to tell me, like, this
I'm
is
a hot
hard and
mess,
I
mom.
am having, yeah, like,
Yes.
I'm a hot mess. Help me.
Yes. Help me. I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so season 8, 8 seasons of having our stop, breathe, talk moment. I don't know how
Yes.
many episodes that makes, but
Yeah.
we
There she is.
invite our producer Kenzie in, and she gets to just give us a chance to practice that flagship strategy of stop, breathe,
Mhm.
talk. But welcome, Kenzie. Thank you for joining us today on the Science of Parenting podcast.
Thank you for having me.
All right, what do we got? Off the cuff. Here we
Off the
Yeah.
go.
cuff.
Yeah. So since we are in the first episode, I like to start off the season. I feel like I've done this a couple of times, but as we start talking about guidance and discipline and
Mhm.
all of the wonderful things we'll talk about this season, what is one thing you'd like parents to keep in mind, or one piece of advice you would give to parents as they begin to explore, or maybe re explore, or think about differently the idea of discipline?
Ooh.
Okay, I know mine.
I know mine.
Okay, mine is a direct tie into the next episode, so I'm gonna let you.
Per-
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So of course I would say Science Stop Breathe Talk is a flagship strategy. And then my flagship child development pieces to go with that strategy are temperament and brain development. So no matter what strategy, technique, or tool you pull out of your parenting toolbox, the basis for all children's behavior is their temperament and their child, the brain development. Like,
Mhm.
where are they at developmentally? And how is that strategy going to connect with them on that level? Is the strategy, the perfect fit for their temperament and where their
Mhm.
brain is at developmentally? And I honestly can say that, my kids were young enough, and luckily I had that background in child development to be able to say,
Yes.
man, that tantrum is so awesome for 17 and a half months.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, 17 and a half months. Yep. This is and the next piece of the tantrum that she's going to add on to this is,
Mm,
and so I feel confident in saying that if you can look at all misbehavior from the standpoint of there is brain development involved in that misbehavior,
mhm.
and then there's your child's temperament, which, remember, part of it they got from you.
Yeah.
So no matter what is happening, if you can just take that stop, breathe, talk moment and turn on those two lights in your brain that says, ooh, okay, their brain development right now is impacting this behavior and their temperament is. Okay, which tool is going to fit with both of those? That's
So
Yes.
yeah.
So it's that caveat as you're going, stop,
Yeah.
breathe,
Mhm.
the development and temperament, talk.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I love it.
Mm. Yes. Okay. The
What
more I had
what are we
time,
leading
the
into
more I
next
wanted to say.
What are we leading into next week with?
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I think was like a huge aha for me in like helping put together this season, and like as I've learned more, in my undergraduate degree and my graduate degree
Mhm.
about parenting and how we develop as humans, that we have default settings,
Yes.
right? So like temperament is like a default setting,
Factory
Um,
settings.
right? Default setting.
Factory
settings.
reset.
But it also in our discipline, like also in the
Mhm.
way we interact with our kids, that like the way we were raised and all of the stuff we're going to talk about actually next week. But there are things that influence the way we like the reasons why we behave the way we do as parents and the way we respond to undesired behavior that we may not even be on our radar. And that is the case for our kids too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that our kids have reasons for their behavior, right? So like
do.
my kids are pushing each other because
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. It really depends on the situation. Right?
There
But,
is
like,
always a because.
right? Because
Mhm.
they would like to sit next to like they really could use some connection from me, from my spouse, from whoever. There's a reason behind our kids' behavior.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's really hard to figure out. Sometimes it's not that hard, but sometimes it is.
Mhm.
But understanding that like we have some default settings and so do our kids, and that impacts how we discipline, how they behave, how we behave, how we
Yes.
react when something is a frustrating situation,
Yeah.
a challenging
Super
moment.
frustrating.
Frustrating. But yeah, so I do. That's it's hard not to
Yeah.
say more, but
Yeah.
next week we get
we'll
to
get
talk
to
all
it.
about it.
And I'm sure some of this will come up next week, but it makes me think of the conversation that we've had. And I know Lori referenced when I said something about the archives, right? Sometimes our archives, we're pulling from our archives and we don't even know it.
Mhm.
And sometimes we, those files are closer to the front and but our brain knows the archives in the back better. So
Mhm.
that's something
Well,
that
we talked about in what season? In some seasons,
one of them.
we talked about like upstairs brain, downstairs brain.
Mhm.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
archives are like in the basement. They are not on
Mhm.
purpose.
Right. Right.
Right? But they can sneak out. And
Yes.
so, yeah, figuring out what are those things? What are those things that can make us behave certain ways without us even realizing it?
Yes.
So that
So
fascinates me to no end.
stay
So
tuned
we're
for
going to keep talking about it. We're going to talk about discipline and all these influences and how do we make decisions. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, I will get out of here and let you wrap things up so we can prepare for next week.
Okay. Deal.
Yes.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good. Yeah, so this week we got to look at, these different categories of discipline, and we're going to keep looking at them, and we're going to keep looking at new ways of thinking about this idea of shaping our kids' behavior. So that's kind of the definition we're going to operate from. We can be proactive and reactive, that's a part of discipline,
Mhm.
and that we get to shape their behavior, which is cool.
We do.
So we're going to look for strategies that research tells us are most effective and that can lead to positive outcomes for our kids. So this is
Absolutely.
just episode 1. More to come.
Episode 1, yeah. And next week we talked a little bit about, you shared that next week we're going to talk about those kind of those unseen, unheard, unspoken kinds of impacts on our discipline choices. So hang with us, because I think next week is going to be super exciting. But there are influences that we just sometimes have to recognize are making us choose the tools that we use. So thanks for joining us today on the Science of Parenting podcast. And just a friendly reminder, you can subscribe to our weekly audio podcasts on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, right? And don't miss the rest of season 8's episodes.
Yes, please do come along with us as we tackle the ups and downs, the ins and outs, and the research and reality all around the science of parenting.
The Science of Parenting is hosted by Lori Kothals and Mackenzie Johnson, produced by Mackenzie DeYoung, with research and writing by Barbara Dunn Swanson. Send in questions and comments to parenting@iastate.edu and connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or accommodation inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.